good? I don't even know if I've done a sound check this morning. Testing, testing. We good? Got it. Thank you, Joe. Well, good morning, everyone. So glad to see you all here today. It's going to be a warm day, but we've got a big old picnic happening after the service with our neighbors here, with all the other churches and communities. And if you are planning to stay, it's wonderful. The hope is we'll get to mingle a little bit with some folks we don't know, and of course, have fellowship with each other, which is always a very good thing. And so, before we get started this morning, I would like to invite us all to just find a little bit of grounding. Take a few deep breaths. There's always so much lovely energy here in the morning when we greet each other. But let's come to presence and to ourselves, and I invite you to respond to the words that I'm about to say here on the screen. Come as you are, aching, tired, joyful, or seeking. Here, we are woven together in love. Set down what you carry and let this be a place of rest. Here, we are held in hope and mercy. Be present to yourself, to each other, and to the divine life that flows through all things. Here, together, we find the common thread of divine life that connects us all. This common thread of divine life in which we live and move and have our being, our God who is lover, beloved, and love overflowing. Amen.
Check, check. Testing, testing. There we go. Got it. The soul is like a wild animal, tough, resilient, resourceful, savvy, but it is also shy. If we want to see a wild animal, the last thing we should do is go crashing through the woods, shouting for it to come out. But if we are willing to walk quietly into the woods, sit patiently at the base of a tree, breathe with the earth, and fade into our surroundings, then the wild creature we seek might put in an appearance.
Oh, gather up the brokenness and bring it to me now. The fragrance of those promises you never dared to vow. The splinters that you carry, the cross you left behind. Come, healing of the body. Come, healing of the mind, and let the heavens hear it, the penitential hymn. Come, healing of the spirit, come, healing of the limb. Behold the gates of mercy in arbitrary space, and none of us deserving of the cruelty or the grace. O solitude of longing, where love has been confined, come healing of the body, come healing of the mind. Oh, see the darkness yielding that tore the light apart, come healing of the reason, come healing of the heart. Oh, troubled dust concealing an undivided love, the heart beneath is teaching to the broken heart above. And let the heavens falter, and let the earth proclaim, come healing of the altar, come healing of the name. Oh, longing of the branches to lift the little bud, oh, longing of the arteries to purify the blood, and let the heavens hear it, the penitential hymn, come healing of the spirit, come healing of the limb, and let the heavens hear it, the penitential hymn, come healing of the body, come healing of the limb.
Good morning, all, and welcome to Common Thread. I'm Morgan Herr, and it's so nice to be here with my beautiful church family this morning. If you are a newcomer or an old-timer, someone that's been here a year, or someone that used to come years ago, if you saw us online or you stumbled in from the street, whoever you are, and no matter what brought you here today, we are so happy to have you with us, so welcome. If you want to know more about us, just click this QR code and we'll send you a zero pressure email with more information, including the option to connect with a live human being, which if you really want to know more about us, where we shine, where we fall short, where we are to get just a real account of this place, that's what you should do. Click on the link and find out more about us. Also, we are making the spiritual journey together here, and we know that doing that together takes us much further on our spiritual journey than doing it alone. And an even more heartfelt welcome if you are here today and having a hard time. In our culture, it's our inclination to isolate when the going gets tough, but we know that standing together in our tough times is an act of solidarity, an act of love, and part of what makes our personal and collective transformation possible. So each Sunday down the hall, we have a trained listener so that you can go to and just have someone to listen or a shoulder to cry on, or even just someone that you can get a different perspective to see your troubles through at this moment. So that person will be just down the hall in the library, and anything you say to that person will be held in absolute confidence. And at any time, you can always go to this QRL code, and that will take you to the support through the community care team. I lead that effort, and if you let me know what's going on, I will get you pointed in the right direction. And now, let's say together, as we do each week, if you are here, you belong.
If you are here, you belong.
We are every one of us carriers of the inner light.
We are, every one of us, carriers of the inner light.
And we are every one of us carriers of divine breath.
We are, every one of us, carriers of divine breath.
So, as carriers of the inner light and carriers of divine breath, I ask you to stand and greet each other. You have a spill? Okay, there's paper.
Hey, Morgan.
Your mic's not on. I think it is. I'm supposed to invite you all to have a seat now, if you would like to, or even if you would not like to. They listen to me about as well as my 3-year-olds listen to me. Dusty's done that before. I walked through fire, I came out the other side. I chased desire, I made sure I got what's mine. And I continue to believe that I'm the one for me. And because I'm mine, I walk the line. 'Cause where adventures and heartbreaks are met, a final destination we lack. We've stopped asking directions to places they've never been. And to be loved, we need to be known. We'll finally find our way back home. And through the joy and pain that our lives bring, we can do hard things. I hit rock bottom, it felt like a brand new start. I'm not the problem, sometimes things fall apart. And I continue to believe the best people are free. And it took some time, but I'm finally fine. 'Cause where adventures and heartbreaks are met, a final destination we lack. We've stopped asking directions to places they've never been. And to be loved, we need to be known. We'll finally find our way back home. And through the joy and pain that our lives bring, we can do hard things. Cause where adventures and heartbreaks are met, we might get lost, but we're okay with that. We stopped asking directions to places they've never been. And to be loved, we need to be known. We'll finally find our way back home. And through the joy and pain that our lives bring, we can do hard things. Yeah, we can do hard things. Yeah, we can do hard things.
So we're a busy community, and we have a lot going on. Today, after Sue's sermon, we will have What Are You Thinking? And then also today, right after that, we will have the Ridge Road Spring Picnic. So hopefully you can join us for that as well. And as you can see, many other things going on. So, are there songs that you sing to yourself or with others that really nourish your soul? If so, we're starting a music group. It's the third Saturday music group of every month, and the next one is on June the 20th. This is a great time to get together and just sing together, and Joe's going to be there with his guitar. If you have any questions, just reach out to Beverly Miller about that. Also, we have an outdoor project currently in the making. On Friday, we laid down some weed tarp barriers. This is right off Shelby's classroom area downstairs and out back of the church. Our goal is to make this a beautiful outdoor play area for the kids. Maybe even get like a sandbox out there, a few little pieces of equipment for the kids to play on, and just we have some furniture to put out there for the older kids to just hang out and relax together. We're having a mulch drop sometime soon. I'm not exactly sure when just yet, but we'll know soon. So I just wanted to have in the back of your minds that when we do get that mulch drop, we'll be reaching out to the community to find people to help us spread that mulch. Even if we all got together and took an hour to spread mulch, if we have enough people, it'll go super fast. We were going to work on this today, but I decided to cancel that because it's just too hot. So we had some wonderful volunteers. Diana and Joe and me and Shelby were able to do that on Friday. So we're not going to do anything today. But as soon as the chip drop comes, we'll be reaching out and we'll try to get this done so we have that beautiful space for the kids. Thank you.
All right, and if you want to find out anything that's going on, as you know, the app, the website, the weekly email, and Dusty is always saying, can I get a minute? And I always want to give Dusty a minute because he has another update for us from One Wake. And why don't you just take the mic over there? We have a camera now that can pan to that platform. You could just stand on that platform. Yeah.
Thank you. Can you hear me? So, Raleigh City Council is having a meeting on May 19th. That's the day after tomorrow, and it's at 1 o'clock. And One Wake people are encouraged to show up to just help make the crowd a little bit larger so that the influence will be felt by the politicians who have to make decisions about the Raleigh City Council's budget. So 1 o'clock on Tuesday, downtown. I see a question. No, okay. What's the name of that building? We've been there before. City Hall.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dusty. If you can make that, wonderful. And now I'm going to invite us all to come to presence together. I invite you to take a few deep breaths. See if you can feel your feet on the floor. Long, slow inhale. Long, full exhale. See if you can notice the sensation in your feet. Can you feel your feet from the inside out? Maybe you feel a gentle, steady pulse. Maybe a sense of aliveness. Maybe not much at all. Whatever you feel or don't feel, whatever you sense or don't sense in your feet, just let it be. But bring your attention there. Feet are connecting you to the ground and to the earth, to all that is. Can remind you of your rootedness. Of the deeper truth of you. See if you can slowly allow that attention or that awareness or the sensation of aliveness in your feet to flow slowly upward. Bring attention to your ankles and your thighs, your calves, your knees. Just let it all flow through your legs. And into your seat, and see if you can notice yourself being held by the chair. You are held and supported. Feel the gravity. See if you can allow this awareness to flow through your torso, your gut and your back, your shoulders, down through your arms, into your hands and your fingers. Just let your hands relax. Just notice. Just notice whatever sensation is there. Now allow that awareness to flow back up through your arms and into your shoulders and your neck. Soften your jaw. Notice if there's any tension in your face, your temples or behind your eyes, even the top of your head. Now bring your attention to the top of your head. See if you can sense the aliveness there. Notice your breath. Notice your breath breathing you, helping you come to presence, helping you return to presence. See if you can just stay in presence a little bit longer. As you allow this awareness to flow from the top of your head throughout your entire body, and see if you can sense your entire body online. See if you can stay just a little longer. As we allow ourselves to be still and know that I am God.
still know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know. Be still and know. Be still and know. Be still and know. Be still. Be still. Be still. Be still.
So, friends, I want to start by apologizing a little bit for last week when I scared the hell out of everyone with that fictional news headline about gas prices jumping to $8 a gallon. I know it's always a little risky to do something like that, to intentionally get a rise out of people, but I want to be really clear. I didn't do that to mess with you. I didn't do it to judge you, and I certainly didn't do it so you would think, wow, I should be more awake than that. I did it so you could notice something. Because if all I'm doing is standing up here and sharing words with you without inviting you into an actual experience, then what we're talking about stays in our heads instead of moving through our bodies and shaping how we actually live. And I could tell that it landed. I could sense it We had just come out of stillness. We had come into presence together, and it didn't take much to take us out of it. And some of you shared that you've seen this show up in your own lives. You're moving along, maybe even feeling some sense of calm, some sense of equanimity, and then something happens, and just like that, you're gone. Pulled out of presence and pulled into reaction. And if you paid attention throughout this past week, I bet you got pulled out of presence a lot. And the good news is you noticed it, at least some of the time, and that's the practice. And if you actually engaged with the practice I suggested on Substack, which was every time you reach for your phone, which in our times is usually a habitual way of being pulled out of presence, just see if you can notice that's typically an automatic reaction and use the noticing to bring yourself first to presence. Well, I'm curious how that worked out for you. Because I can tell you how it worked out for me. I can probably count on one hand the number of times I was able to actually come to presence before I picked up my phone. If you took on this challenge, I bet your experience was similar. You probably saw just how hard it is to stay in presence. And honestly, I think there's something important in simply recognizing that because human beings leave, we drift, we react, we brace, we disappear into thought, we get hooked, we get pulled away again and again and again. And this is not a moral failure, and it's not proof that something is wrong with you. It's just part of being human. It's part of having a nervous system, part of moving through a complicated world while carrying histories and wounds and patterns and fears. Of course we leave. So if you leaned into what we did last week, if you noticed yourself leaving and returning, even just a little, then the next logical question becomes, why do we leave? Why do we have to keep returning? Why can't we just stay? Well, we don't leave presence because we're bad at this. We don't leave because we're not skillful enough, because we're not trying hard enough. We don't leave because we haven't figured it out yet. In fact, not all automatic behavior is a problem. A lot of our lives depend on it. You couldn't get through your day without some level of automatic functioning. Driving, working, navigating familiar environments, these things rely on patterns that run without constant conscious attention. So the goal here isn't to never leave, but it's to ask ourselves when those patterns are simply helping us live, or when we leave because something in us doesn't feel safe enough to stay. And when I say safe, we're not talking about an idea, we're not talking about a concept, we're talking about something you can feel, a felt sense in the body. Because you can be completely fine on the outside, nothing actually wrong, nothing literally threatening you, and still feel tight, braced, activated, on edge. You can be sitting in a quiet room, nothing happening, and still feel like something is off, something's not quite right, something needs you to fix it. And the moment that happens, something in you moves. Not slowly, not after you think it through, it just reacts. Automatically, mechanically, and usually not dramatically. It happens slowly, quietly. In small moments, you avoid a feeling, you feel anxious or bored, you distract yourself, you tighten up in a conversation, you reach for your phone, you stay busy, you stay productive, you move away from discomfort before you even realize you're doing it. And again, this is deeply human. But over time, those little moments begin to form patterns, and those patterns begin to shape us. Certain reactions become more automatic. Certain forms of escape become more familiar. Certain parts of us begin to take over more and more of our lives, and eventually we can spend so much time leaving ourselves that we stop realizing we're doing it at all. What begins as momentary avoidance can slowly deepen into something larger, until we're no longer just leaving uncomfortable feelings for a moment. We just might begin leaving entire parts of our lives. We leave difficult conversations. We leave challenging relationships, jobs, communities. We leave parts of our lives that become too charged to remain inside of. We leave ourselves. Now, of course, there's a difference between checking your phone while standing in a grocery store line and organizing an entire life around escape. But the smaller moments matter because they reveal the movement while the stakes are still small. They let us begin to notice how quickly we move away from discomfort, uncertainty, vulnerability, emptiness, boredom, grief, conflict, or even just simple unstructured presence. The phone itself isn't really the point. The point is the reflex, the movement away from contact, away from connection, away from the present moment. Because once we start seeing that movement in little everyday moments, we can begin recognizing the same pattern in larger forms too. And listen, there's no blame here for people adapting the best way they know how. When something in us feels uncomfortable, unsettled, or unsafe, our protective patterns immediately go looking for relief, for security, for some kind of strategy that will promise that we feel better. Maybe it's withdrawal or defensiveness, overfunctioning or avoidance, shrinking or projecting. Most of these strategies began as forms of protection. They helped us survive something. They helped us cope. They gave us a sense of control or certainty or image management. But over time, the strategies that once protected us can also begin isolating us. They can begin cutting us off from actual contact with ourselves, with other people, with reality, with the divine. And the consequences can be enormous. They can lead to addiction, chronic avoidance, chronic distraction, infidelity, numbing, workaholism, spiritual bypassing, ghosting, emotional shutdown, endless certainty loops, doom scrolling, political rage. Not because people are bad, but because something in them learned, I cannot safely remain here. And from an evolutionary perspective, that makes sense. Our nervous systems are wired for survival. Something in us is always scanning. Am I safe right now? Am I okay? Is there something I need to respond to? And it's not doing that occasionally. It's not doing it now and then. It's doing that all the time. Quietly, automatically, beneath the surface of our awareness. And then you add to that the environments we grew up in, the moments that were frightening, the ways we had to adapt to belong or to stay okay. And over time, the system gets trained. It gets efficient. It gets fast. So now, even when nothing is actually wrong, something in us still reacts, still braces, still prepares. Which means a lot of the time, the alarm we're responding to isn't coming from what's happening around us right now. That call is coming from inside the house, from memory, from conditioning, from something that once made sense, from something that might have even helped us at one point, even if it's not what's needed in the current moment. And of course that makes sense, especially if you've lived through trauma, instability, chronic criticism, emotional neglect, or environments where it truly did not feel safe to feel present, to be present. For some people, this goes very deep, and I need to be clear, practicing the presence alone is not the whole path. Trauma work matters. Therapy matters. Sometimes professional help is part of what allows a nervous system to slowly relearn safety again. But regardless of how deep our patterns run and how entrenched our adaptations become, here's the irony in all this. The parts of us trying so hard to keep us safe can actually pull us away from the deeper safety we are longing for. We leave presence, we leave connection, we leave our bodies, we leave the deeper self underneath all the fear and reactivity. It's like the ego goes searching for safety by pulling us away from the very place genuine safety is actually found. And at the same time, we are not spiritually bypassing reality and pretending everything is safe. Some of us are navigating real instability, real harm, real situations that do require protection. So this isn't about overriding your system or your discernment or telling yourself everything is fine when it's not. It's about learning to notice what's actually happening, what might be arising from somewhere else, and slowly beginning to tell the difference. And that's not something we can do alone. Because one of the hardest things about being human is that our protective patterns can feel like wisdom. Our defenses can feel like discernment. Egoic security can masquerade as true safety. Our parts can feel like us. And when we've spent a long time bracing, avoiding, controlling, withdrawing, or protecting ourselves, it can become very difficult to tell the difference between what is actually dangerous and what simply feels unfamiliar, vulnerable, or exposing. Which is a big part of why we need each other. We need relationships where people can help us see what we cannot always see in ourselves. We need communities where people are willing to challenge and be challenged without being shamed, where we can be lovingly invited deeper without feeling annihilated. And this is where we can circle back to something we explored together last August, Darsha Narvaez's concept of the evolved nest. Now, if you were here last year, you might recall that one of Narvaez's central insights is that safety is the foundation for everything else. Human beings are shaped in environments of attunement, connection, co-regulation, care, and belonging. We don't just think our way into safety, we experience our way into it relationally. But of course, trusting that is not easy. Because the longer we've relied on certain protective patterns, the more they begin to feel like just who we are. The more they become intertwined with our identity. And at a certain point, the spiritual path starts asking something of us that can feel almost impossible. It begins asking us to loosen our grip, to stop organizing our lives entirely around protection, around control, around certainty, around avoiding what feels unbearable. Somewhere along the way, many of us begin to sense that the only way forward is through some kind of death. Not physical death, but the death of the protective identity, the death of the strategies that have organized our lives, the death of the parts of us that became convinced that control or certainty or withdrawal would save us. And that can feel terrifying, almost like annihilation. Because somewhere inside us comes the question, who am I without this? Who am I without the control, without the certainty, without the withdrawal, without the story, without the protection? But I think a huge part of the wisdom of the spiritual path is realizing that this kind of death, as frightening and painful as it can be, is not destruction, it's surrender. Letting the false self loosen its grip, letting the protective identity soften enough for something deeper and truer to emerge, discovering that what feels like the end of us is often the beginning of something deeper, truer, freer, more alive. It's resurrection. And this is also why we need each other, because it is not possible to learn to stay entirely alone. We need spaces where we are held gently enough to stop bracing all the time. We need relationships where we do not have to perform safety, but can begin to actually feel it. We need communities that remind our nervous systems slowly and patiently, you are safe enough to stay, and when you leave, it is more than safe enough for you to come back. And that's a huge part of what we are trying to build here. Not perfection, not spiritual performance, not a community where everybody always gets it right, as if there were any such thing. But a place where people can show up honestly enough to stop leaving quite so quickly, quite so often. last week, What Are You Thinking here in the chapel demonstrated that we are cultivating just such a space. I don't know that I've ever been in a room with that level of vulnerability and honesty held in that kind of safety. People shared hard things, tender things, unresolved things, and the room didn't rush to fix anyone. Nobody tried to manage the moment. There was listening, compassion, non-judgment, or confessions of judgment, patience, space, and I could feel the sense of safety running through it. As someone who's going through some hard things myself right now, I could feel what it was like to be in a space where I didn't have to brace. And I think that's sacred. That kind of safety doesn't just appear magically. It emerges because people are doing enough of their own inner work to stay present with themselves and with each other. Not to strive for perfection, but to keep deepening our capacity. To notice our reactivity a little sooner, to soften our defenses a little faster, to stay in the conversation a little longer, to remain present when discomfort shows up instead of immediately fleeing the moment. To keep noticing a little more often so that over time we can stay a little longer and then a little longer than that to keep practicing the presence. And what's really beautiful is that this works both ways. As we grow individually, we grow communally. And as we hold each other communally, we grow individually because we belong to each other. Because none of us actually becomes whole alone. And I keep coming back to Brother Lawrence because what strikes me so deeply about him is not that he mastered presence perfectly, it's that when he noticed himself leaving, he didn't panic, he didn't shame himself, he didn't turn the moment into failure, he simply returned, gently, patiently, without discouragement. The question isn't whether we leave, we will. It's whether we can return, and can we return just a little sooner? Can we return just a little more often? And can we stay just a little longer? Can I stay present to reality, relationship, grief, uncertainty, love, fear, conflict, and myself long enough for transformation to actually occur? And can we, together at Common Thread, keep cultivating the kind of community where we feel safe enough to stay?
All this time was staring me in the face. I was so far gone, I could have ended it right there. I was dead in the ring, lost in the race. All this time was with me when I was nowhere. Oh, it cuts the deepest when you watch it moving in, and there ain't nothing you can do to turn it round. There ain't no armor can save you there. Love, it takes no prisoners on this battleground. And letting go is the hardest part. when holding on's been everything. Well, I have this pain deep in my heart. That is why I sing. That's why I sing. Cut me open when I'm dead and gone. You'll see this one ring stained dark as wine. This was always to be part of my story, not yours but mine, not yours but mine. And letting go is the hardest part. Holding on some semblance of control. Well, I have this pain deep in my heart, but I am still whole. I am still whole, and I will waste my heart on fear no more. I will find a secret bell and make it ring, and let the rest be washed upon the shore. They can't be tamed, these wilder things. No, they can't be tamed, these wilder things.
Just one more plug for the Substack if you want to join us during the week for some practices to stay grounded and to help us practice together, returning and staying just a little bit longer. If you haven't signed up, it's very easy to subscribe, and you'll get these messages and these meditations delivered to your inbox. And we can do this together as a community. And as I said earlier, that's how we got to do it. And so, friends on the live stream, so glad that you joined us this morning. We're going to invite you to do something online that we're about to do in the room called What Are You Thinking, Sensing, and Feeling? Where we will talk about the lesson, we will talk about the service, we will talk about what's going on in our lives and what's going on in the world. And you're invited to do the same with some of the best people I know who have built and nourished a remote community that's quite robust. And so they invite you to join them. Just click the Google Meet link that's below the video, and you'll jump right in and join them for that conversation. They would love to welcome you there. But if you're not down for talking this morning, or you're watching us at another time and you're new, there's another link below that where you can request a newcomer email that is not dissimilar to the email that Morgan mentioned earlier, but this one is a little bit more about what happens in remote community. And so if you think that's a way you might want to be engaged in an ongoing way, that's the email that you're probably going to want to request. And so, friends in the room, can we put one hand on our hearts and dismiss our friends on the live stream by remembering that our deepest, truest self, to which we always want to come to presence, is animating us, it is in us, and we are called to share the love that is in us with the rest of the world. And so let's extend our other hand to our city and to our world, taking seriously this week our commitment to share what is in us with everyone with whom we live, with whom we work, with whom we go to school, everyone we encounter on the streets, as we live into our charge to be healers and repairers of our world. Amen. Friends on the live stream, God bless you. You are dismissed. Friends in the room, as always, I invite you to get in touch with what you are sensing and feeling before we talk about what we were thinking, and I'm going to also extend the invitation that I did last week, which is, can we do that throughout the session, throughout the time, constantly bring ourselves back to presence before we listen to what other people say or share what's on our hearts.